Hi everyone, it's Lori and welcome to my channel. I hope you are all doing well today. So today's video, I am actually just putting a Ricola, guys, in my green tea. It's really, really good. Ricola, this kind, I highly recommend. Really, really good. We're going to throw that away because I actually emptied it in my drawer over here. So, yeah, just having a little bit of green tea because my throat is pretty agitated today. I do have one of those lodgings in my mouth, so I apologize if you could tell that. And I'm using my Ink and Think mug from Gail Augustinelli. Had it for, I guess, as soon as it came out. Okay, guys, the question is it or is it not rag paper? So every Thursday night, I try to catch my friend Angela over at the Traveling Crafter. She has live sales. And here lately, Carol from Crinkle Path has also been joining her. I'm assuming that's going to be an all-the-time thing. We have a really good time over there. Get some really great deals on some stuff if you're, you know, in the market for anything. I know I have the light kind of bright, but... yeah, so, this past Thursday night, she also had Sarah. Hey, Sarah, and she is New England Junk Journals, and, that was a special guest she sold, so, yeah, we have lots of fun over there, and of course, we can't forget Sandy and the Sheep. She is, Wilhelmina. And I will make sure to leave all of their links in the description box below. But the question had came up. Someone was showing a book and they were like, well, you know, is it rag paper or is it not? They were not sure. So, of course, Angela, you know, had said that I had a good bit of rag paper, which I do. And her and I have talked in the past about, you know, is it rag paper? How can you tell? And this, that, and the other. So I had told them I would do a video. So for you four ladies, Angela, Carol, Sandy, Sarah, and everyone else who was at the live sale, I do apologize because I had said I would get that up yesterday. But Wednesday, I think I've mentioned before that after my therapy sessions, it normally puts my hands out of commission for, you know, at least 2 or 3 days. Does feel a lot better today. Yesterday, I couldn't hardly bend this finger, so that's why I didn't get the video up yesterday, but we're going to do it today. So if you guys will be patient and hold on, I will read through this as quickly as I can. Excuse me, especially because of my voice, but I pretty much went ahead and just did the research, the history of paper. So I have that here, and I will let you know where I got this information from. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you my rag paper, or at least some of it that I have. Most of it I have purchased from Rachel over at Roxy Creations, but I have also looked up on some books, 2 books, especially. They're huge. I've shown them a couple of years ago at an estate sale, and they are rag paper and in Italian, and I absolutely love them. They are what Rachel would call Mahorty books, so I will never ever get rid of those. Make sure I'm filming, or tear into those. Those are, you know, definitely Mahorty books, and they stay on the top of my bookshelf in my family room. But we'll go ahead and get into this. So, and then, like I said, at the end, I'll show you some books that, the end of them, they may look like they're rag paper, but they're actually not. So cotton paper, also known as rag paper or rag stock paper, is made using cotton linters, fine fibers which stick to cotton seed after processing, or cotton from used cloth rags as the primary material. Prior to the mid-19th century, cotton paper was the main form of paper produced, with pulp paper replacing cotton paper as the main paper material during the 19th century. Although pulp paper was cheaper to produce, its quality and durability is significantly lower. Although pulp paper quality improved significantly over the 20th century, cotton paper continues to be more durable and consistent. Consequently, important documents are often printed on cotton paper. Different grades of cotton paper can be produced. All right. So, cotton was first used with a mixture of silk to make paper called carta bombacia, it looks like, I guess, I'm not sure. In the 1800s, fiber crops such as flax fiber or cotton used from cloth rags were primarily the material source for paper beginning in the mid-19th century. And the rest of that I've pretty much already said. So this article actually came from the conservatory.org. And this article was adapted from a 1989 speech given by Susan Kinsella at an environmental paper seminar at the National Press Building in Washington, D.C. Okay, so what's the first thing that comes to mind when the question is posed, what's paper made from? Just about everyone responds, trees or wood. People assume automatically that paper is made from wood, that paper and wood are synonyms. But in fact, paper has been made from wood only since the mid-1800s. Up until the 1850s, papers was made from recycled linen and cotton rags. When the paper industry was established in the United States, it was a recycling industry. Rags were so valued for paper making that one mill in Massachusetts used as its paper's watermark the words "saved rags." Throughout the centuries, the practice of paper making has evolved again and again. In response to economic growth, historical influences, available raw materials, and the social issues of the day, as social needs have changed over the years, the composition of paper has also changed and is in turn fueled powerful social changes and development. In fact, some argue that the social, technical, and economic progress of nations is extremely linked to the production and use of paper. Sorry, guys. Never said I could read these big words. Okay, so first person to make paper. This credit goes to, this is the name, guys, right here. But in another article, it said that that's how you, Kaya, I guess, Kaya, say, I'm not sure, Lun, gets the credit. The invention of paper is usually attributed to Lun, an official in the Chinese royal court in AD 105. The invention of paper solved a pressing problem at the time. Back then, scrolls of silk were being used as books, but the development of calligraph and the animal hairbrush and the resulting proliferation of literature created the needs for a writing material that was cheaper and more practical than pure silk. In fact, part of Chinese ideogram characters for paper means silk. Lun's paper was made from rags, used fishing nets, hemp, and Chinese grass. The invention of paper was so important to China that the emperor made Lun a noble. They also tried to keep it a secret as well, too, guys. The Arabs got paper making 600 years later as one of the spoils of war. The Central Asian city of Samarkand was fighting the Chinese and captured a number of prisoners, two of whom were paper makers, who were released in exchange for teaching the Arabs how to make paper. The Arabs wasted no time in improving paper-making techniques. They were probably the first to make paper from linen, and they spread the techniques throughout the Middle East and into Spain. Europe, however, didn't start papermaking until several centuries after the Arabs began making paper. The Christians who took over the Arab paper mills after driving the Moors from Spain were far less skillful and made inferior papers. And although trading cities such as Venice imported paper from the East, and some mills in Italy produced outstanding rag papers, Rachel, the rest of Europe was slow to embrace the new technology. Entering Gutenberg. For these reasons, when Gutenberg produced his first Bible around 1456, Europe was still predominantly using parchment and vellum paper for printing, rather than paper. Parchment is the skin of a sheep or goat that has been prepared for writing. Vellum is a fine parchment made from the skins of calves, lambs, or kids. Kids, by the way, are, I believe, goats or something like that. Not actual kids. Gutenberg printed several copies of his Bible on parchment. To print just one, he had to use the skins of 300 sheep. Now, with that kind of a resource demand, obviously there weren't enough goats and sheep and calves in Europe to allow the mass production of books. So here was the grand new technology, the printing press, and no way to realize its potential until entrepreneurs saved the day by improving and expanding the technology of paper making from rag linens. At first, paper was called cloth parchment. Paper brings profound changes. Because we live in a world that paper and paper printing press helped to create, it's difficult today to imagine just how much the European world was transformed by the development of paper to work the printing press. A bookseller in the Middle Ages seldom had many ready-made books in his shop. If you were one of the fortunate few who could read, you most likely would go in and order a book to be copied down for you and pick up several months later. Or if you were very advantus, you would simply borrow the first few pages of the book, take them home, and copy them down yourself. Then you'd come back and borrow the next few pages. Imagine the confusion and disbelief when someone appeared with many copies of the same book. There's a story, perhaps apocalypal, about Gutenberg's financial partner. When he offered 20 identical copies of the Bible to a bookseller in Paris, he was quickly forced to flee for his life. People were certain that the only explanation for this bizarre occurrence was that he was in league with the devil. The lower cost of printing books on paper and their subsequent availability stimulated the foundation for new schools and universities. Because books were now more numerous, educational opportunities that were once restricted to the nobility and upper classes became more available to other classes in society, with dramatic increases in levels of education and literature. When you change from an oral culture where everything is communicated in stories and the spoken word to a literature culture where people get their information by reading, you can change even such fundamentals as the process of thinking. Suddenly, people don't have to carry all their knowledge in their heads. They don't have to develop elaborate ways of memorizing. They start to think in a more linear fashion because now they can work out on paper the complicated thought progressions that they haven't been able to do so in their heads. The art world was also transformed by improvements in papermaking. Previously, artists had to practice their techniques and develop their drawing abilities on canvases that they printed over and over again. So most paintings were actually lost, hidden under layers and layers of new paint. Give me just a moment, guys. When paper became available as a cheap type of canvas, artists could go wild practicing their sketching, and now these sketches could be saved. For the first time, drawing became an important art form in itself. The growth of newspaper in the U.S. As time went on, paper came into wider and wider uses. The first paper mill in the United States was established in 1690 in Philadelphia, and it was a recycled paper mill using rags to manufacture paper. Newspapers started appearing in the late 1600s and early 1700s. Newspapers and the increased communications they offered began to affect the conduct of the government and commerce. Newspapers played an important role in spreading political information in the pre-revolutionary and revolutionary period, not to mention during the formative period of our nation's institutional and industrial history. Increased demand stretched the supply of rags to the limit until the storage became so acute that there were actually rag wars during the mid-1700s. Nations passed laws forbidding rags from being taken out of the country. So, of course, rag smuggling became a lucrative profession. England even declared that the dead could be buried only in wool. This was probably a move on the part of the wool manufacturers to protect their weakening industry, but it also served to save cotton and linen rags for papermaking. Throughout the 18th century, there was an intense search in Europe and the U.S. for new fiber source of paper. Contests were held, universities offered prizes, and inventors and laboratories worked feverishly to come up with a new paper source. Inventors would often print a book on their newly invented paper that described how the paper was made. And so we ended up with books printed on paper made from straw, swamp grass, marshmallow, and esparto dune grass from certain beaches in Spain. Sorry, guys. I'm not well educated, so some of these words, I just don't know how to say them. The first patent for paper using de-inked waste paper as part of its fiber source was issued in 1800 in London. It was not until the 1840s that the initial development of papermaking machine in England and experiments in groundwood pulping in Germany and Nova Scotia enabled the commercial production of paper. The first ground pulp mill in the United States was established in 1867 in Massachusetts. I know that sounded funny when I said it, but let's move on. Experiments in chemical processes for preparing wood for paper making took place during the 1850s and 1860s in Europe and America. Commercial production of wood pulp by the sulfate process was achieved by 1887 in Ontario. Increased use of virgin resources. Imagine how people saw the vast natural resources in the United States in the mid-1800s. Seemingly endless forests stretched forever. Trees grew everywhere. Imagine how people saw the vast natural... Okay, we already said that. So a mill could be located just about everywhere as long as it was near a water source. Trees could be harvested any time of year, so the mills didn't go through seasonal periods of surpluses and shortages as they did with other fiber sources. Trees could be cut as they were needed, unlike fibers like straw, which had to be stored in large volumes and which could then spoil. With this new wood pulp technology, the United States must have appeared to be the paper maker's version of Nirvana. This breakthrough in paper-making technology fueled a huge expansion in the business that eventually led to the development of the modern corporation, which was unable to function without tremendous supplies of paper. The paper industry in the 1850s created changes so far reaching that it was one of the transformative factors in the development of the United States. Not the least revolutionary change was the astonishing drop in newsprint prices that advanced in papermaking technology afforded. Newsprint prices that were 28 cents per pound in 1864 had plunged to 2 cents or less per pound by 1897. Wood's position as America's paper source was solidified at the turn of the century when federal and state government impacted laws to spur industrial development. Companies were granted tax credits for resources depletion, and virgin resources industries were granted favorable freight rates. We're almost done, guys. These incentives were successful in influencing the types and structures of investments and industries that were established. Many of these incentives are still in effect. In conclusion, paper was first developed by Lund from recycled materials from rags, fishing nets, hemp, and China grass. It wasn't until a little more than 100 years ago that paper began to be made from trees, and then it was because quantity, not quality, required alternative fiber sources. So that, guys, long and drawn out as it was, is the history of paper. And I found it to be very fascinating. So I'm actually going to keep all of these copies that I made. So I am going to take another drink real quick, and then I'm going to show you guys some books. Oh, that's so yummy. Guys, I'm not one for green tea, but I started drinking it because, you know, all my health issues. Yeah, it's supposed to be really good for you. And, excuse me, I actually put organic honey in it, raw honey, and it's super yummy. Okay, so what I am going to show you now, sorry guys, we're already at 22 minutes, I apologize, are some books. And what we want to do is look at the edges here, because that is one thing that actually came up in the live sale when we were talking. Okay, no, my hands are not going to want to cooperate. I'm just going to try to get them up this way so that I could show you. But that's one thing that came up. So if you guys can see the edges of all of these just by looking at this, what do you think? Do you think they're rag paper? Do you think this one's rag paper and this one's not rag paper? What do you think by looking at the sides? So what we now know is most of the rag paper or most of the paper stopped, or rag paper stopped being made in the mid 1800s. So this book right here, this is the edge of it. If you could see that, see how tattered and kind of torn it looks or what have you. Now this is actually a book, and this is 1937. So even though the edges of it are kind of deckled, which is what a lot of rag paper looks like, some of it looks, you know, more different than others as far as the rag paper goes and the deckled edges. This one also has some deckled edge, but it is 1938, and this is indeed not rag paper. Even though the font, like on rag paper, you can kind of feel the font on it, you cannot on that one. I'll show you that one last. It's completely falling apart. So here's another one, and it's kind of iffy. Let's see if we got a year in this one. This is an encyclopedia. This is actually 1953. But just the way that they made the edges look. That one's not as profound as the other ones that I've showed you. And then I have this one, Old Paths and Legends of New England. I mean, look at that. Gorgeous, right? Love this book. Let's see, I may need my other hand. They're starting to give out on me. And I guess you can already tell that these pages are glossy. Let's see if we have a copyright. Okay, so this one's actually 1909. And again, this is like semi-gloss paper. But looking at the edge of it, one would think it could possibly be rag paper. This one, this poor guy, is falling completely apart. Look at how luscious that is. And this is, yeah, see, that's my cover coming off, guys. And look at the mess it's making over here, too. Yeah, I don't get this one down much. Let's see. What year is this one? Okay, this 1916. Again, absolutely gorgeous paper. It feels so good. And I love the edges of it. How that seems deckled. Again, not rag paper. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys. And I think I'm going to go ahead and, if you will, enlighten me for a moment. Get these books out of the way and kind of switch around here. And I am also going to grab, look at that book. It's just disintegrating. That cover is falling apart. I'm going to go ahead and get that cleaned up. Because now I am actually going to show you some books that I had purchased from Rachel over at Roxy Creations, and they are rag paper. Yep. Just kind of made a huge mess. My mat moved too, so sorry about that, guys. All right, so this is one book that I had purchased from her. I'm going to go ahead, guys, if you don't mind. Well, no, I don't need to lower you because I have like a really huge book. So this is actually the book. We do have a little bit of worm damage there in here on the edges, if you can see that. But this right here is rag paper. And you have this little sheet, and then there's a sheet like this, and then you have this, and this is in Italian. So this is one book that I had purchased from her, and it is all falling apart. So this one is one of the ones, well, all of these I'm going to show you, I keep close. This is another one. These are the same. I had bought, I don't know, maybe 4 of these like this. Again, you can see the, you know, rough edges, like deckled edges on the side. And this is rag paper. Again, like I said, when you're just looking at it, you know, on camera, like you guys are seeing it now, it's really hard to tell that it's rag paper. But when you feel it, you can feel the fibers. There's a fiber right there. There's kind of like a lump right here. And the font feels raised. So you can feel it coming up really good off of the paper. So that's those two. And these, by the way, are 1832. The other one, I don't remember if it had a date in it. And then this one here is 1828. Look at how gorgeous. Can you guys see that? And you can feel the fibers. You can actually see the fibers in here. Can you see them right there? See the fibers right in there? And the font is raised really high. You can really tell that font. Did I show you guys this one? Nope, not yet. Okay, this one is another one. This is 1816. This is the actual cover. That's how the book came. That's like a jacket, a sleeve that was on it. But this is the actual, it even has the number 546. And this one is, that's the 1816. Did I show you guys this one? I don't even remember. Luscious, luscious pages. Absolutely wonderful. And they don't even look like they're the same size. See that fiber right there? But yeah, just on camera, it is really, really hard to tell. Now I'm going to show you guys my most prized possessions when it comes to, you know, it got dirty again. But that's okay, I love it. When it comes to rag paper. And these I actually looked up about 3.5 years ago and found these at an estate sale that was at a house on the lake. And these stay on my bookshelf. I actually have volume 1 and I have volume 2. And it is in Italian. I have no idea how to say it. But this book is huge. It is 12 tall and 9. So it's a 9 by 12. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? And this is rag paper. And this is 1833. And again, I have volume 1 and 2. I have no idea what it says, nor do I care. I know this is something here, Romania, something. Yeah, I researched it when I first got it, but I hadn't did it in forever. And you guys know I can't remember yesterday, much less 3.5 years ago. But yeah, this right here is rag paper. And as you can tell, though, on the edges, it does not. Let me show you guys. It does not have that deckled edge look. So that's why a lot of times you just have to fill the paper because you can't always go by. See, there's a fiber right there. Can you guys see those fibers? Oh, I doubt you can. And with my hands, I cannot hold it up. But I can actually see a fiber there. You can feel the font that's raised up. Here's another fiber here. Oh gosh, I wish you guys could see that. Let me see if I can lower you down. Because right now my hands, I'm not sure if I can lift it up. See, right there it is. You can see it. See that fiber? So this is rag paper. There's more fibers here. You can see them. Alright, gonna raise you guys back up. I do apologize. But yes, on these I have volume 1 and I also have volume 2. These are in mint condition, guys. Mint condition. And these are what Rachel would call mahorty bugs. This is 1833 for volume 2. And, but yes, these are my Horty books. I will never, ever, these two, never, ever. I would never tear into these pages, guys. Absolutely beautiful. But that is rag paper. So, guys, as promised, there is a video on my knowledge of rag paper and the history of paper itself. Hopefully, while I was reading the history, some of you got a nap in. But yeah, I'm going to take this one because I actually love this. And we're just going to lay it here while we finish talking. So I hope that helps some of you. Again, it's really, really hard to tell unless you have actual something that you know 100%, like this right here, is rag paper to go by with the texture, and when you're filling it, when you're filling the font, and when you're actually seeing the fibers, because you can see the fibers throughout the paper. It's really, really hard to tell unless you've had a piece of actual rag paper in your hand. So I will leave a link because I did remember seeing a video from Rachel about her knowledge of rag paper and how to tell if it's rag paper or not. And I will make sure to link that video. I actually watched it again today. I think it was from about a year ago. So I will make sure to leave a link to that video in my description box so you guys go over there and check her out. And also, if you don't have rag paper, not sure about finding it here, need someone who's trustworthy to buy rag paper from, I would encourage you to buy a pack of rag paper or a book page bundle from Rachel at Roxy Creations. Then you actually know it is rag paper. You can trust her. I trust her 100%. She is actually the only place online that I buy my rag paper or rag paper books from, because I know she knows her stuff, and she is trustworthy. So, yeah, I would advise getting some of her paper packs. That way, you can feel it, you can see it, and then when you're out in the thrift stores or you're out at an estate sale or wherever, you will know what texture to look for, what to feel for, before, possibly paying too much money for a book that you were told or you're thinking is rag paper and it's not actually rag paper. So that's it. Again, I'm no expert. Please go and watch Rachel's video about rag paper and a little bit of the history of it there. Also go over and check out Angela, Carol, Sandy, and Sarah. I will make sure to leave all of their links in the description box below. And again, you guys that were at the live sale, yes, Thursdays, make sure to go and catch your live sales. We have lots of fun there. So yeah, again, everybody that was there, I do apologize for not getting this video out yesterday. And I'm going to go ahead and stop now and finish drinking my tea, because I could tell my hand's swelling a little bit because it's a little bit cold in here. So I need to go and get it in between heating pad. All right, I love you guys. Thank you all so much for putting up with me. Continued prayers for healing would be greatly appreciated. I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.